Sometimes your intuition will guide you to a situation that is not in your highest interest for the purpose of evolution, for soul growth. And I'll tell you why. For an example, when I made the declaration that I was ready for sacred union, but bear in mind, I have, I'm a woman who shifted in identity in 2019 from a woman who kept attracting abusive partnerships and relationships where I was operating in a role that sought to save. So there was, this part of me at the time was trying to save men, was fully the provider. I never had provider men. These men weren't men who could provide in any way. They were narcissistic in that dynamic. But dangerous. Like, I'm not just throwing the word around lightly, I'm talking about dangerous. But I got to evolve from that, and over those years I met other men that I engaged with but didn't really let in. But they were models, they were role models of healthy masculinity and healthy men who could co-regulate, and it was a different kind of relationship with the masculine. But what I'm saying is, when I called and made that request, I didn't know that there was more to be done before I was going to be able to meet the sacred union or the conscious partnership that I really wanted. And a lot of what was going on was that I realized that actually throughout my whole life I had developed many strategies to avoid and block intimacy and to protect myself from being vulnerable and creating barriers to the kind of conscious partnership that I really wanted. There was a lot of avoidance in my earlier transformation. So at the start of my journey, back I'm talking 7 years ago, I was highly avoidant. And not only was I avoidant, partly to do with my love blueprint, which was wired into my nervous system, I was also avoidant due to an overactive and very wounded huntress. And the reason I'm loving the archetypes, and the reason why my body of work is rooted in discussing how all of these things connect, is because they all link in a very beautiful way. So when we're working with our shadow and we're working with the patterns and we're looking at how these things are showing up, we have a really clear framework to understand and create the insight, have the awareness, but also to be able to create the change, the transformation. So what happened was, the Ghost of Lovers Past number 3 turned up, called me after 10 years. 10 years. And this was the guy that I truly was the only one I ever saw myself with back then. Like I let myself, all of the things, all of the ways that I used to be, the avoidance, the not just one foot in, keeping men at a distance. I wanted to be the wife, So he called, but then I soon realised that I started getting, my intuition was clear that this was not really aligned on a deep level, but my nervous system wouldn't let me let it go. And I blocked him because I was like, I just need to block this. But I also knew that if I blocked him, I was not going to be able to resolve what it is that it was showing me. Blocking was the easy route, and if I did, I was going to lose the opportunity. But equally, what happened was his voice, like his name, kept going around my head at the bus stop. So it was, his name. So I unblocked him and I said to him, look, I'm really sorry that I've that I'm doing this. Like, it's just showing me how all of these weird patterns and behavior mechanisms and defenses that I've got going on. But the point I'm making is that sometimes your soul and your intuition will lead you down a path, not because it's the right path, but because you need it. You need it in order to actually clear the space for the thing that you've been calling in.